Sin can separate brothers and sisters in Christ. But then again, the death of Jesus takes away that sin and reunites us with one another. Sin can tear you apart personally. Sin in your life can destroy a person from the inside out. But again, you can also be healed through Jesus Christ, through his death, a blessing from God. So because of this unity that God has blessed us with, we can enjoy fellowship with him, we can enjoy fellowship with each other, and we can even have peace in our own lives because of it. Ephesians 2 says, "But now in Christ Jesus, you who were far off have been brought near by the blood of Christ. For he himself is our peace, who made both groups into one and broke down the barrier of the dividing wall, by abolishing in his flesh the enmity, which is the law of the commandments contained in ordinances, so that in himself he might make the two into one new man, thus establishing peace, and might reconcile them both in one body to God through the cross, by it having put to death the enmity." Let's pray.
God, we are so thankful for the opportunity to come before you. Lord, that you have demonstrated yourself time and time again through history to be a loving and compassionate God. And, Lord, the pinnacle of that, achieving through Jesus Christ, the conquering of sin and death. We are so thankful that we can be here at this time, that we can live victoriously, that you have told us we can come confidently before the throne of grace. Lord, we are just so thankful that this has been made available for us. And Lord, knowing that it is made available for all mankind, Lord, we pray for that we might be effective. Pray that we can be Christ to this generation, that we would see the life that he lived, that we would see the sacrifices that he made, the love that he showed. Lord, that we might do the same thing. Lord, I pray that as we consider this time, that we would consider the sacrifice of Christ, his willingness to give up all for the love of others. And Lord, I just pray that we might be better equipped and might be effective in this new week. Lord, we can't thank you enough for the love that you have shown us. And pray, Lord, that we never take that for granted, but that our lives be a true testament to that appreciation and to that gift. Lord, we thank you for Jesus Christ. Yes, these things in his name. Amen.
Another one.
For those with us online, might communicate to them. I can send this PowerPoint to them if they desire it, because I know that camera unfortunately doesn't pick up really the screen too
I
well.
don't think your mic's on.
I can talk louder. I need to. That webcam is pretty good, but it doesn't really pick up the screen. I mentioned last week I was going to do the financial presentation this week. Hope that's okay. I passed out year-end financial statements for you guys to look at. And we'll jump into it here. I don't think it should take too long. You know, right now, the afternoon study that we're doing, the afternoon study that we're doing every other week involves stewardship. That's really what a lot of this comes down to. I think that concept carries over into the congregation as it does with us individually. Everything we have, God has allowed us to have, has chosen to give it to us. And those resources, we are ultimately assigned as stewards of those resources and need to use them effectively. So I've done this now. I was actually looking back. I had presentations back to about 2013. I think it's important for us to understand kind of what's going on in the congregation. I think it's important that this be a time where we kind of view our personal sacrifices in this effort. You know, I encourage you as we talk about these type of things, you know, we all, again, spend a lot of our time determining how to use our time and money. We can almost boil down our resources into that regard, time and money. Scripture speaks to the importance of being good stewards of time. Paul says in Ephesians, the days are evil. The days are evil. We work against time. You can get a lot of stuff accomplished in a relatively small period of time. I hope everyone that's part of the memorization class has learned that if you truly are consistent and spend about the time you would spend watching the nightly news and doing memory work, you can achieve amazing amounts of memory work, contributing that to memory. You can do that with other things too. You know, I've tried to really stick with the whole learning Russian thing over all these years, and it's amazing that even in the, it doesn't take a lot of time to work on a task like that, to acquire a skill or to build those things. It's just the consistency, and it's the putting aside the fleshly desire to sit around and do nothing constructive, to be effective. So, as we talk about these things, especially as a congregation, we see a pattern in the New Testament of the body uniting, in a sense, for financial resources in order to help achieve the goals and the purpose of the church. And that's why I think it's important that people be aware of some of these details and ask questions about those things. So we want those things to be transparent. And, during this time, please don't hesitate to ask anything. So we've been very, very blessed as a congregation. There are many congregations that I think don't have a spiritual focus and are more focused as a business. They spend all their time dealing with junk like this. There are congregations that we're affiliated with that I believe have a great spiritual focus, but finances are still a difficult part of the day-to-day, and they spend a lot of time on this. We haven't had to spend a lot of time on this stuff, and we're very, very blessed in that regard, but we still want to make sure it's being used effectively and efficiently for God's kingdom. A couple verses that I brought up, I know I've used before, but Deuteronomy 10:14 says, "Behold, to the Lord your God belong the heaven and the highest heavens, the earth, and all that is in it." I think it's so simple for us to say, well, yeah, of course, he created it. But it's pretty easy to leave the assembly of the saints and get out into your normal work week and be shooting for that, 1.5 time or that extra hour of pay, and to get you that extra, pack of chewing gum at Walmart. And I mean, the flesh wants to have more stuff that makes the flesh more comfortable, and that's always going to be a temptation for every individual to pursue. And we just want to be careful of that we recognize, again, what we have, God has chosen to allow us to have. We need to see ourselves as stewards, it is our responsibility with these resources God has given to use them for his glory, for his purpose. "The silver is mine and the gold is mine, declares the Lord of hosts," Haggai 2:8. I love that verse because you're talking about two precious metals that have, for all of human history, been identified with wealth. Gold and silver. It all belongs to God. Doesn't matter how much one person has or how much kings of the past have had. It all was God's. They were just holding it for him. Okay? Job 1:21, "Naked I came from my mother's womb, naked I will return." We know from Scripture that Job was quite wealthy, and he had a fantastic attitude when he began to be tested. He said, "Listen, I didn't come here with nothing, and I'll leave with nothing." For some reason, it's pinged in my brain this week. I mean, I have known many people. I don't want to say many. I've known multiple people in the last 5 to 10 years that the reality of mortality has come up, and money wasn't able to do anything. I watched the movie in the last week or two, Steve Jobs. Anyone watch that with Michael Fassbender? And he seemed like a pretty interesting character. There was definitely a level of arrogance there and pride. And, he got contracted with cancer. And from what I've read in my very slight research of him, he was even arrogant to the point where he thought he could self-treat him cancer. And he actually refused multiple conventional treatments, thinking that, and cancer got him. I was thinking the other day of, I grew up with a kid named Nick Tarvin. He and I were very good friends growing up. And I remember his dad being a lawyer. Well, as I've got into real estate, I realized that Tom Tarvin was very involved with real estate in Fayette County. He was a very wealthy individual, a self-made individual that had, I literally have images in my mind. I don't want to detract from who the man was, but I remember spending the night at Nick's, and Tom was a guy that you could tell he came home from work all day, and man, he got dressed for bed and sat in his recliner and ate his dinner, and that was his reward. That's what he worked for, was to be comfortable in life. And I wasn't intimate with the family at the time, but he contracted cancer and all that stopped. And again, years later, as I've dealt in real estate and talked to bankers, it's been communicated to me by multiple people that he did everything financially he could possibly do to try to stop that. He was not a godly person, but he had financial means and tried to use those to fix the problem of mortality. And all of that meant nothing. I had another client at the bank who was a very successful business person here in Fayette County, was a very, very nice man. He was a couple years away from retiring from the business that he had helped create. And when he retired, he and his wife were going to travel for the next 20 to 30 years. His wife got cancer, only gone in 2 months. And again, he leveraged almost every financial resource he had to try to stop mortality from happening, and was unable to do it. All the wealth and all the possessions and everything the flesh wants isn't what's important, okay? But we are entrusted with it to manage it appropriately and to use it for God's reason. We shouldn't be doing it either individually or even as a congregation to make ourselves comfy and happy. We want to make sure we're always using it effectively. And Job had a fantastic attitude, but ultimately I came here with nothing. And in the end, I'm leaving with nothing. I don't care what my net worth is or how much gold and silver I have or what. I mean, I'm not taking it anywhere. So I want us to keep those things in mind as we look at those. Matthew chapter 25. For many years when I was younger, of course, I've heard this talked about in many different ways. Some people, I think, mistakenly see it as God's instructions on how to invest money. And I did that for a long time. I thought this tells us how to invest money. This is the way we're supposed to do it. Well, really, yet again, this is a lesson of stewardship. That's what it comes down to. Okay? So in Matthew 25, starting in verse 14, for it is just like a man, the kingdom of heaven is, about to go on a journey, who called his own slaves and entrusted his possessions to them. To one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, each according to his own ability. And he went on his journey. Immediately, the one who had received the 5 talents, I like that immediately. Okay? The one who received the 5 talents went and traded with them and gained 5 more talents. I told you guys about these videos we got for the girls from the homeschool convention. And I like the video about this because, again, they do a good job of kind of putting some details in there that don't detract from the truth of the situation. But it gives you an idea. And this guy, he went out and bought a piece of ground. And, it shows him tilling that ground and doing irrigation, diverting water, and he grows wheat on the thing and ends up selling the entire field for a profit. And what I love in that movie, too, is whenever he harvests about 3/4 of the wheat, he's approached by a widow who's part of a group of widows that have no money and are starving to death, and he gives them the rest of the wheat. Tells them that, and I just think that's a great idea or a great concept, because this individual would have had that type of mentality. He was a good steward of what was entrusted to him. But don't think necessarily that he went and stuck it in the slot machine. That's not what this is talking about. Okay, he was a good steward, and that involved effort, and that involved work. Okay. And he gained 5 more talents in the same manner. The one who had received the 2 talents gained 2 more. But he who received the 1 talent went away, dug a hole in the ground, and hid his master's money. Now, after a long time, the master of those slaves came and settled accounts with them. The one who had received 5 talents came up, brought 5 more talents, saying, Master, you entrusted 5 to me. See, I have gained 5 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. You are faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter the joy of your master. Also, the one who had received the 2 talents came up and said, Master, you entrusted 2 talents to me. See, I have gained 2 more talents. His master said to him, Well done, good and faithful slave. You were faithful with a few things. I will put you in charge of many things. Enter into the joy of your master. And the one who had received the 1 talent came up and said, Master, I knew you to be a hard man, reaping where you did not sow, and gathering where you scattered no seed.
And I was afraid, and I went away and hid your talent in the ground. See, you have what is yours. But his master answered and said to him, you wicked, lazy slave, you knew that I reap where I did not sow and gather where I scattered no seed. When you ought to have put my money in the bank, and on my arrival I would have received my money back with interest. Therefore take away the talent from him, give it to the one who has the 10 talents. For everyone who has, more shall be given, and he will have an abundance. But from the one who does not have, even what he does have shall be taken away. Throw out the worthless slave into the outer darkness. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. The talents are the resources entrusted to us by God for our proper care and stewardship. That's what these are. Time, money, throw whatever in there you want to see. But anything that God has entrusted to us. And the ultimate reward at the end was based on the usage of those things. We're not told that the third slave did anything. He didn't destroy the master's property. You know, he didn't ignore work, or he simply did not take what was entrusted to him and put it to effect. God's trying to communicate here that the kingdom of heaven is something given to us that can be expounded upon and used to grow and to spread and to demonstrate God's glory. That's what we're talking about. Okay? And that's with any resource we're talking about, even old hard money. Okay? It's got a purpose. It's got a function. Luke 14:28. For which of you, when he wants to build a tower, does not first sit down and calculate the cost to see if he has enough to complete it? I love this verse more and more since I found, since it was presented to me, I guess, a few years ago. This verse demonstrates to us God's expectation for us to think about things, to consider before we do things, especially because none of it belongs to us. It's God's stuff. Okay? Typically, whenever you borrow something, you take a little bit more care with it. An exception to that would be the video that we borrowed from Joni and Craig recently and lost it. Okay? We lose other videos. By we, I mean the females in our house. I don't lose anything. Anyway. Typically, when you borrow something, you take greater care of it. Yeah. Okay? You take care of those things. This is a perception thing. We have to see these things as things given to us by God. Don't feel like you earn that money. You earn that money because God gave you the body and the capability and the time and all of those things in order to earn that. That's what happened. Okay? And we need to see it that way. And the same way with congregation. God blesses these resources. All right. This is kind of gives a demonstration. I wanted to point out something, and I tried to find the actual income statement for 2014. Well, I have deleted 2013 off of this chart and added 2016. I am not certain this number includes the building rate. Okay? And I have no way to verify. I don't know if anyone, for some reason, is carrying around the 2014 income statement. But that was before I was actually tracking that thing. So I don't necessarily want you to see the discrepancy here to here because I might have entered that number simply showing our data. But if you want to do a safe comparison, the building rent at this time was approximately $9,600. Okay. So you can kind of take a look here. You can look from 2015 to 2016. Total income, I will tell you at some point in there we raised, I don't know how long ago that's been, we raised the rent over here by $50. We raised $100 or $50? I think it was $100. At some point we raised it $100. So that could be contributing as much as $1,200 over here, somewhere in that vicinity. Giving refers to all money that went to missions or special gifts. And again, if you know what, I handed out all those things. Can I get one of those back, or they're extra somewhere? If you look down, we didn't have, the gifts portion of that was minimal this year. And by gifts, that would normally be something if the men determined there was some type of need there, a benevolence need or whatever. That factors into that. But the rest of that is missions. And I like to show a percentage of what we give. This also takes into account, the money that we get from VBS and ultimately match that each year. Sometimes that match depends on how much the kids raise. I know a couple of years ago, they raised a ton of money, and we match that so it can adjust there as well. Internal functions mean guest speakers, fellowship, or youth. You're obviously going to see a bump there because we took the effort. It's already been a year. Can you believe that? We started doing our fellowship items and things. That is an expense that I know I personally have absolutely zero problem with. I see that as a. Are you serious?
I got him in 2012, buddy.
Hey, you're good.
I knew there'd be reason to carry those on me.
I figured some anal freak in here would still have it. I didn't expect it to be
You need the
you.
others. I got it.
Okay. That's excellent. Okay, that answers my question though. Guys, that 24 was total income. That was building rent and giving. So, I mean, we had a significant jump to 2015 and then 2016. So, great blessing there. Something I did notice, and again, I don't think this is an issue at all, but our VBS, we did spend more on VBS this year. That's why. I was trying to remember. I'm like, yeah, we bought 2 posts. So this, a big chunk of this is kind of an investment in future years, just for anyone who has questions, because we didn't use a whole stack. In fact, we used the whole stack of the stack we brought here. We didn't use that. So I mean, we very well might have bought a huge chunk of supplies for 3 or 4 VBSs, just to let them know. So that makes sense. But that amount includes youth, that includes our fellowship, that includes guest speakers. I think we only had a couple guest speakers last year. I apologize about that. I'd love to line that up more. Most of the time we give them $100 gift for fuel and stuff, and most of the time we have to trick them into taking it. Jeremy, I normally have to send a check to his bank and tell him to deposit in his account, and hopefully he doesn't see it. But I think we had Marshall and Jeremy last year, but I'd like to line that up more. I just think that's a different perspective. It's encouraging. Building expense. Building expense consists of our loan payment, insurance, taxes, and utilities. So you can see that was relatively similar there. Percentage is the same. Trying to think of probably the only reason I could have been a little higher was maybe a bump in insurance or adjustment in taxes somewhere in there. Repairs. As you can see, repairs is significantly higher. Mainly what that was is number 1, our carpet. Number 2, we redid all the decks and everything on the modular this year. So we had not, as you can see, had hardly any. We've been very blessed in that regard. It's already been, what, 7, 8 years ago that we had the roof done? Somewhere way back when. Yeah, it was pretty close, wasn't it? Oh, yeah.
We had to pay our first premium, and we.
Yep.
We weren't even in here yet.
Really? Okay, so that's 10-year-old roof already. So anyway, again, that's an expense I think is perfectly justified. We've been very blessed in that regard. But it really was 2 items, and you can see that on your income statement, specifically under real estate. And if you look down at rental or church repairs, you can see the cost there. Carpet, I think, ended up being around $3,000. The repairs and stuff we did on the materials and all that kind of stuff we did on the decks was about $700 some odd. The net income, even after, I would say, some heavy discretionary expenses this year, we ended up with a little bit of a surplus. Great blessing there. Any questions in regards to this at all? No?
Yeah, Jimmy, I know that we've added Olga and we've increase some of our giving, how come the percentage goes down?
Because that went up. Because our money in went up,
Okay.
which is gonna, like right here, these are both 30%, but we spent more here. And just because I want to show a percentage base, because whether we're getting in $20,000 or $100,000, percentages is kind of a nice thing to go by. I mean, if we have a trend of doing 30% giving, if for some reason next year we get $100,000, I don't think our giving should be 11. It should be around 30%. So that's why the percentages can adjust a little bit. That's why over here giving was 46% because this income was so much lower. But we've actually increased it. Good question. Other questions, Mom? Do you have a question?
Well, I was just clarifying, when most of us, we think of giving, we think of our personal giving.
No. This is the
Congregational
congregation.
giving.
Yes, sorry, thank you. This is the congregation giving towards missions or giving gifts to the benevolence, is what this is. This is the congregational giving plus the building rent. Okay, that's what this is up here, and that can be seen at the top of your income statement, and we'll go over that. Good point. Thank you.
Your income statements.
Yep. Someone who wants to keep them for years and years and years and years. My file name has 2016 on it. Well, my problem with putting years is you guys have seen before when I print the brainstorming sheet off for 2013, because it's in the header and I forget to. You trying to make a goat noise? Is that what you did? Any other questions about these numbers? Information? Okay. I know you can't see this very clear, but you have this in front of you. Okay, that's what you have. The only things I really wanted to draw attention to was, again, the carpet was a bigger item. The decks were a bigger item. And then I just wanted to show the difference, that fellowship line item. That is specifically our meals or events where we have bought things for fellowship of the congregation. Again, I am spending probably an average of $140 a month on the fellowship, where I think that's well worth it. I'm always going to go back to, they're continually devoting themselves to the apostles' teaching, to fellowship, to the breaking of bread and prayer. And I think those have been very beneficial. I hope others have enjoyed that. So, any questions about this? Please ask. Does everyone understand basically how this works? This is a basic income statement. It's money in, money out, is really what we're showing you. Does anyone see any items on the sheet in front of them that seems a little out of place or that you would have questions about? I'll also point out, I didn't remember this, but it looks like in April, we increased our giving to Ghana by $100. So we did that this year. I didn't remember that. Graham and Ruth is at $250 a month. Olga has been $100 a month all year long, with one little blip in August. That was when Steve was trying to determine if she still was asking for that obligation from Direct Connect. Property taxes, I can't remember what happened here in February. We got some type of strange, they always have our taxes a little. Yeah, we've got it multiple times over the years, because I have to go in every couple of years and say, wait a second. I mean, just to let you guys know, we have to pay property taxes because that is an income generating unit. Okay. We have to pay property taxes on that and the shed. But this building and that garage are exempt. Okay, so we do not pay any property taxes on that. But because that is income generating, we can't do it. Insurance, every year I say it seems a little high to me. I check on it and we can't, I mean, can't really get lower. So I mean, It's just gone up a lot since I did insurance a long time ago. About $1,540, we just pay that annually. So. Any other questions? When was our flood? Has that already been a couple of years ago? That wasn't last year, was it? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions? Any questions?
What, exactly on this mortgage?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Loan information. All right, here's the deal. We started this August 22nd, 2008. Okay. Why did I think we haven't been here 10 years?
I would, because I was pregnant.
I was thinking that the other day, but for some reason I thought we were here 9 or 10 years or something. Okay, this was the amount of the loan. We originally got the building at this interest rate, and that is still our interest rate. I don't know if you guys recall when I did this presentation a year ago. Talked about possibly doing something, but we're so close to the end at this point, it wouldn't make a difference. It's just not worth the hassle. It's not worth the cost. We did that on a 15-year loan. Okay, this was our payment. That payment over that term, this is the amount we pay, which really is not too bad as far as interest. We've paid $420 a month for at least 5 or 6 years. So we paid approximately an extra $40 of principal every month. We have paid 100 months. I'm anticipating we have 57 left. So what that means is we've knocked off about 2 years of payments because of those extra principal payments. So we have less than 5 years left if we continue as is. And I figured up it'd save us, because of what we've been paying, it's going to save us about $4,000 of interest. Okay. Any questions on this? I'll show balances here in a second. This is balances that we ended each year. Okay. 2014, at the end of the year, that's where our checking account was at. 2015, that's where our checking account was at. December 31st, this is where we're at. Something I would like to do is we guys might get together soon. You know, we have always said that 6,000 is something we're comfortable with. I don't see any reason ever to hoard money. I don't think any of us feel that way. If you have any suggestions, please let us know, but perhaps maybe we could do a gift to a couple of our missions or something of that nature. We would easily be able to do a gift in $2,000 to $3,000 based on the way things are going. So, loan information, we're down to $19,000 is all that's owed on this entire property. I've said before, I would estimate this property, while it may not sell quickly, I think it's around $100,000 property. I know from an investment standpoint, someone would pay 40 plus for that rental in a heartbeat, probably more, because it's a CRF tenant. Probably 40 to 50 by itself. So, any questions? Residential CRF, the Maugers, they're our tenant over here. That's what I mean.
Okay, so they're just Maugers is called CRF.
It's resident. Their name of their actual company is Residential CRF. Is their company. But what I'm saying is because they're renting over here and not just Bob and Betty. I mean, you guys realize that is the dream. Okay, coming from a landlord. That is a dream. The check shows it. When I sent them a letter to raise rent, didn't even get a phone call, just start getting more rent. Okay. That's the dream. And we have done very minimal. I mean, yes, we've done stuff. We've sent plumbers and HVAC people, but yeah. Repairs for the rental, well, for crying out loud, if you take out the decks, just monitor, just standard maintenance of any kind, we spend a whopping $100. All it took. Now, we pay the water for them over there, but that, again, that's very, very, very good thing over here. Okay? The amount of rent is appropriate. I mean, everything is very, very good.
And we have one continual tenant, right?
Yeah, that's what I mean. I mean, if I look at a rental property, I always estimate a 10% vacancy. In 8 years, we've had a 0% vacancy. That's phenomenal. Now, one thing I do want to mention, and again, the guys need to consider this. A time I'm thinking will come pretty shortly where we need to address roof over there. I mean, it's, we've had no complaints, nothing's leaked yet, but that is a 3-tab cheapo roof. And I remember that thing being stuck there in my lifetime, but it was early. Did you guys say 20, 25 years? More than that? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, for that roof to not be leaking everywhere is amazing. I mean, that should be happening.
I'm not sure it doesn't have a roof.
Oh, okay. Well, that'd be different.
If you look at it.
I thought it was original roof.
I think it's a snow one on some of it. I think I looked at it before, season repair areas on it.
Okay.
So, but I would say in the next few years, I'm
Okay.
looking at the way it's starting to start up.
Yep. So that is something, I mean, on a roof like that, I mean, I'm dealing with roofs at the moment, depending on what we want to do. If we wanted to put metal on it or something, I mean, we're potentially looking at a $7,000 roof, $6,000 roof, probably. Somewhere in there. I know, I think the roof on this building 8 years ago was $4,500. And every contractor I've spoken to in the last 5-6 years said roofing was just, it goes up and up and up.
Matthew, we're having a metal roof put on our house sometime this next summer. The Amish are doing it. Would you want us to have them contact you?
I wouldn't do it yet.
Not yet.
I'm having Amish put a roof on for me right now too.
You are?
Yeah, but I have, that's why I'm a little familiar with what's going on. I mean, I don't know how many squares over there. I'm getting it installed for about 145 square, a metal roof. I don't know. I can't really ballpark something like that. I don't know if it'd be 20 square over there. I mean, 25 square. But anyway, I guess my point is we don't necessarily want to, I don't want to hoard money, but at the same time, we don't want to spend down to $1. And then it starts getting, when it starts getting leaks, it's time for a roof. I mean, there's really no reason to patch it or.
Right, then inside you start having.
Right. Yep. So, other than that, I can't really project any major expenses. I think everyone's aware of my effort to reach out to the owner of this property over here this year. That didn't work out so well.
You need somebody to go in secret.
I still laugh about that. So I spoke to this gentleman about the potential of buying his property, and he was slightly insulted by the price range I was thinking. So anyway, I can't really, I'm hoping a day will come where maybe a tenant living in that property so completely utterly destroys it that the owner might be more motivated. But again, we have many, many options at this point. We don't necessarily have to have cash reserves to do so. I mean, the loan on this we have equity in this property. The loan on this building is down. That is something that we'll obviously talk about at the time, but I think it's something we'd still be interested in, to have all the way to Alley, if that ever became there.
Are there any plans to do any exterior upgrades on this building?
I don't really know if we need it unless someone has a suggestion. That's what I mean. I'm open to suggestions, but it doesn't. That's the great thing about brick.
Awning down here.
I feel like we've talked about a number of things. We've talked about an awning. I even wondered if we could put a vestibule out there, but I don't I'm afraid we're too close to the street. A vestibule would be awesome because that's where all the heat from our basement goes. The moment someone opens that door, all the heat rushes out that door. But I don't think we have the room, is the problem. I mean, and we can look into that. I mean, I'm fine with that, but I guess the awning, I mean, do you think the awning just for snow purposes, or what do you guys think the awning would benefit? I don't mean to put you on the spot, but I just,
Raining, when you're trying to get in the door, you know, with the snow, it'll keep the snow off the sidewalk.
just to kinda,
That part.
okay. I mean, that's possible. I'd say if we could do the awning and it not be awkward, I'd like to look into the vestibule, honestly. I just think it could look a little goofy. I don't know. I mean, we have that spot out to the sidewalk. And a vestibule doesn't have to be anything spectacular. You know, like if you go up to US Bank, I mean, you essentially have a little glass box, but the key to that box is that it creates a barrier of temperature. To me, that would be the greatest benefit. Right, exactly right. Yeah. But that is, you know, I mean, our kids are pretty cold, you know, on Sunday mornings. There's just no way to keep heat downstairs. The vents are open and everything. The problem is that heat rises and rushes out that door. The second it's open. So.
That building going to the basement needs attention.
I thought we messed with that.
It's in bad shape.
It's rotten from the top down.
Oh, it's rotting?
It needs a real door at the top of the stairs.
It's a good door. It's a good door.
No, I mean an exterior door.
It's got a,
It doesn't need an exterior door. It has a storm door on it.
Yep,
That's
that
an
would
exterior
keep
door for
all
most people.
from going upstairs.
Huh?
It would keep a lot of that cold from going into that pressure. If it was built right.
I mean, I think if I don't know, we can look at that. I think if we went for a full-blown door, you're gonna have a threshold that's just gonna make getting things in and out of there a little more difficult. I don't know, we can look at that. We can do,
might go outside the furnace, probably.
yeah, well, that's what I was gonna say, yeah, we could read, yeah, that's fine. That's a good suggestion.
And the paint in the front, the wood part of our doors. And, you know,
You know the risk of making suggestions in this congregation, right?
Get a pie.
Don't tell her that, she will do it.
Yeah, I know, I need to remember who I'm talking to here, so. Yeah, I know. There's no reason why we can't look at those. Again, we spent $6,000 this year on repairs. I don't see those things, again, as bad stewardship. You know, I don't think we need, you know, we put very inexpensive carpet in here. I don't think anyone has a feeling like we need to break the bank for all the fancy stuff, you know, but we can look at a number of those things, that's fine. A vestibule would be expensive if we did that. I mean,
This thing over here, up basement, paint, beats.
Yeah.
On both ends, because it's only one.
we're talking about, is it wood siding up here?
Yeah.
And see, we could just
And
have
that's
that
just-
changed. We just put it to vinyl siding.
Yeah,
That would be
it might be not a whole lot different.
Yeah.
Last one.
I've got quotes to paint wood siding before, and I was like, holy cow, I might as well just
You get done, it looks like.
coat it in gold. Yeah. Any other questions? Any other comments at all? This is your chance. You know, each one must do as he is purposed, it's not proposed, sorry, purposed in his heart, not grudgingly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. This is between you and God. Okay? It's always between you and God, but as a congregation, we're going to try to be good stewards of the resources that come in. Time, focus, and money. I had it there as the three primary resources that God entrusted us. Anything else? Please never hesitate to ask if you have a question or a concern. I mean, really, that needs to be, you know, some people just don't care about the numbers aspect, just want to make sure everything's okay. That's the way it works at the Hope Center. They like me because I'm a numbers nut, and they're like, as long as we're not dying, you know, it's all good. But I mean, all this stuff is always available if anyone has questions, anything of that nature. Happy to talk about it. Yes, Dave? Receive that, thank you. Appreciate that. All right.
Dave's always pretty sure you can take care of
Yeah.
it. That'll take care of it.
Everything will be all right. That'll take care of it. Look at it.
She's got a bunch.
What am I looking at? Why are you up here? All right. We had, we played some ping pong last night, had Adam and his family over. And at one point, she and Amelia come walking down the stairs, and she's got a roll of paper towels under her arm. And she gets down, I'm like, what do you have? Why do you have that? And she doesn't move and just the paper towel just slides out of her arm. It's like, whoops, I'm sorry, Daddy. Like, yep, forgot you were down here.
She told Grandma that day. Grandma sat down on the edge of the bed with her to pray and to cough, and she says, you stay right there.
Right there on the floor.
Did you guys see? I posted that picture on Facebook. The Where's Ellie picture.
Oh,
Anybody see that? Trying to figure out where she was supposed to be asleep, and I'm like, I asked Rachel, I'm like, is Ellie in bed? And I'm walking around the room, can't find her anywhere, and looking at, and I end up finding her. She loves getting under her bed behind all the toy stuff, and I like catch a glimpse of her under there. Fell asleep. All right, any other announcements we need to be made aware of? Again, we'll plan for this Thursday evening. No nursing home today. Be back next Lord's Day. Greitmans have fellowship meal. Anything else? Oh yeah, we still have the Hope Center thing for anyone who's interested in participating in that. It's a good fundraiser for the Hope Center. Hope Center's going good. Just please continue to pray that I can do that. Was the whole point of joining that, pray that I can develop those relationships. And, it sounds like I'm probably going to become the president of the board and pass on the treasurer to somebody else if I can force someone to take it. And then I've got a couple more years for my terms done. So. The first bingo thing, for any ladies interested in that, please let me know. That was extremely popular last year. If you didn't go, we had like 240 women there.
This Thursday evening, right?
Huh?
Is that this Thursday evening?
No, it shouldn't be. I think it's in February, isn't it? Yeah, it's in February. Yeah. I think it's $20 a ticket. They'll have concessions there. You just show up, play bingo, and if you win, you get a designer handbag. Last year was the first year we did it, and we raised like $8,000 in our first year. Certainly won. I think a couple people brought their husbands just so they would have an extra chance to win.
Husband's like, yeah, I don't have to buy it.
We talked about trying to do a men's version, and I just wouldn't work the same. Tool. We thought about that. Tool or gun bingo or something.
Oh.
I don't think guys want to show up for bingo. They just tell me if I want to. So. All right, great to see everybody this morning. Hope everyone has a great week. Hopefully everyone avoids all the sickness stuff and all that. Happy birthday. How old are you now? You're getting old, man. 39? Is that the truth? Okay. Any other birthdays? January birthdays? Not yet. Getting close. All right, let's sing happy birthday to Chris. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, God bless you. Happy birthday to you.
What's on your wish list? What's your wish list? To stay there.
I think he would love to make a ham for all of us. Is what he would love to do for his birthday. I know, it wasn't your birthday then. That was just a freebie. All right, let's go ahead and stand. Let's do the first verse, number 43. First verse, and then we'll be dismissed. All hail the power of Jesus' name, let angels prostrate fall. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him Lord of all. Bring forth the royal diadem and crown him Lord of all.
Say, Mommy, I'm sleepy. I'm not going to sleep.
Hey, Penny.
Trying to keep you. One of these days you'll be around. Sooner than we careful, probably.
Does he?
Yeah, I'd like to know. You have it back right
I was trying to figure out the best way to film it. I came to the conclusion. I did this. I can take a snapshot of the video, of the UPC number on the back, and actually bring up the whole radio of the movie. Then I just typed them all in because a couple of years ago, typed in all the ones you get borrowed. This is going to.
This is your own green box database.
So when you brought Snowden in, I went in there and edited it and deleted Snowden off that file. And I can use a
What's the acid?
You didn't touch me. Yes, I did. Oh, I didn't feel it. That don't count.
As much as what you did, I don't think you did. I can't
You can play.
Your dad will teach you that.
Ellie said. Ellie, come get us. Ellie, no. You can play. You come get us, Ellie. Come chase us. She's not playing, so you're still at. Okay, I'm playing now. I'm playing now. You're ready. Yeah. Face.
Look at those arms. Yeah.
Oh, Ron's holding back there, his feet were going crazy. It's like he was going to be a swimmer.
Chad will be because this is the only way to do it.
What's Chad doing?
I think it's or
Hey, Desiree, what were you told before service ever started? You either had to stay here or you had to stay there. And where were you? You were back and forth, you were back there, you were messing with the cereal, you were doing all kinds of other things. Can't do that anymore. When you get here and the service starts, you're either on one side or the other and you're sitting down.
You should have anything going on after that, yeah. Hopefully, yeah.
Kayla has a walker, I should have bought it. It's not like she's gonna need it for another 6, 7 months. I thought she was only 3.